How we doing, yo? Hope everybody survived the crazy storms. What up, Bailey? What up, Buddha? What up, Lurkers? How we doing, y'all? Happy Sunday. We've made it to March Madness once again. Selection Sunday is here. 42 months. Thank you for the 42-month subscription. Appreciate it. It's a long time. I didn't think I was going that long, but I guess it has been that long. Almost 4 years now. All right, Chad. It is that time. CBS has Jerry Palm. ESPN has Joe Lunardi. Fox has Max DeCourcy. Well, Twitch, we got Brett Shenanigans. I'm not going to give my real name. But yeah, I've been doing this. This is my 4th year doing this as Twitch's Bracketologist. Last year we got everybody right, I believe. We got 68 out of 68. And seed-wise did pretty well. I think we were like 75% on the seeds being correct. I'm a little nervous about the seeds this year because there's so many teams that are just right there. And I'll go ahead and turn the music off here. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that are just right neck and neck. You know, it's going to be close. But without further ado, this is my final bracket reveal. Now, keep in mind, there are games going on right now that won't wrap up until just before Selection Sunday. We got the Big Ten Championship going on, which right now I'm just saying Michigan is my Big Ten champion, but the game needs to be finished still. Now, if UAB beats Memphis, my last team in is getting bumped out because UAB will have to go in because Memphis is going to get in regardless. So that is the only bit of drama that we have right now. Everything else should be a final and official. So let's get into it. The 1 seeds, Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida. Duke won the ACC. Houston won the Big 12. Florida won the SEC. I think everybody's going to have those same 4 teams. They are the 4 best teams right now with the 4 best resumes. I mean, nobody has more quad 1 wins than Auburn at 16. Now, what do these things mean? Well, the net is just a net ranking of everything, your record, who you beat, where was it at, that kind of stuff. It's basically a giant sorting mechanism. Quad 1 means you beat teams at home in the top 30, you beat the top 50 at neutral site or the top 75 on the road. And then you would go to quad 2 would be like, 30 through 60, for example, and so on and so forth. So the worst group is quad 4. That's like your worst teams. So yeah, what does the committee look for? They look for your record, obviously, outside of winning your conference. They look for your record. They like road wins, how'd you do on neutral site, and then they want as many quad 1 wins as possible, but they also take in strength of schedule, your KenPom ranking, and a few other factors as well. And eye test comes into play as well. Do you look like a tournament team? Hey, how we doing, King Shepo? How are your Sundays going? Well. So yeah, Duke has the least amount of quad 1 wins here, partly because ACC was a little down. But they are without a doubt going to get a 1 seed here. So there's your 1 seeds. Your 2 seeds. Tennessee is the highest 2 seed, with Alabama, Michigan State, St. John's after them. St. John's having a really good year. They won the Big East last night, and they've looked dominant for a while now. It might be a scary team come on Thursday. So there's your 2 seeds there. 3 seeds, you got Texas Tech, Wisconsin, Kentucky, and Iowa State. Iowa State being the lowest rated 3 seed. I could see them going to a 4 seed, but I got them as a 3. And as you can see, as you move down the list, you get less and less quad 1 wins. The net rankings get a little higher. The records get a little worse. You'll see that kind of come into play until you get to some of the mid-majors around the 10, 11, 12s. They have good records, but just not as many quad 1s. They don't get as many opportunities. All right, 4 seeds. Maryland, Arizona, Texas A&M, Michigan. I think this is your 4 seeds here. Michigan, I have right now as a placeholder winning the Big Ten. This is where I start seeing a little more variance. You could see Texas A&M maybe move up to a 3, maybe even Maryland up to a 3. But I think, and maybe even Michigan up to a 3 if they beat Wisconsin. But I think this is where you're going to start seeing a little bit of debate starting around the 4 seed line. Bailey says, my family called as soon as you went live. Oh, sure, of course. Well, tell them to turn it on. 5 seeds. This is a seed you don't really want to be in the tournament because you face a feisty 12. The old 12 seed upset special that's been going on for years. You got Purdue, Clemson, Ole Miss, and Oregon. All 5 seeds right now. I could see Oregon or Purdue possibly moving up to a 4 line, but I have them as a 5. Any of these schools could find themselves on the 6 as well when we find out the bracket here in 2 hours. But I got them all on 5s right now. A lot of people probably surprised to see Oregon as a 5 seed, and you probably see the O behind me. But look at, they're 8-7 in quad 1. They're 8-2 in quad 2. They don't have any bad losses. Net rankings 29. I mean, you kind of got to put them up there. They got a good record, too. The best record of this group besides Clemson. So that's why they're there. Purdue, 7-10 in quad 1. You know, I understand Purdue beat Oregon this year, but it doesn't matter. You're looking at the resumes, the entire season. So that's what they look at. They don't look at one single game. All right, 6 seeds. Now we start getting really a lot of variance. So a lot of bracketologists will probably have plenty of different variants here between 6 and 9. I got Gonzaga, Louisville, BYU, and Missouri as my 6 seeds. And 6 seeds, another seed you don't really want to be either, because the 11 seeds lately, like the last 20 years, have been really feisty. Dang near got a winning record against 6 seeds. A lot of 11 seeds go on serious runs to like the Elite 8, Final 4. So you don't really want to be a 6 seed either. But yeah, I got Louisville, Gonzaga, BYU, and Missouri right now. Gonzaga will be an interesting topic because, you know, smaller conference. They won the WCC, but they got a net ranking of 8. I mean, that's really good. And they got a good record. But yeah, they only went 5-5 against quad 1. So we'll be curious to see how the committee handles Gonzaga. You could really move them up to a 4 based off of the net ranking alone, but I don't think they'll do that. I got them as a 6. They could even drop to an 8. I mean, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting to see what they do with Gonzaga. But I do think these other 3 are probably going to be right here. All right, now the 7 seeds. We got Kansas, St. Mary's, UCLA, Marquette. Once again, any of these teams could be 6, 7, maybe even 8. I couldn't see really Kansas dropping to an 8, but definitely could see UCLA, Marquette dropping to an 8. But I got them at 7s right now. UCLA, 9 quad 1 wins, but, 10 losses, 1 bad loss there. I got them there right now. They could be a 6. They're probably the best resume of the 7s here. But they're there for now. King Shepo doing well, just playing some MLB The Show. Ooh, that sounds like fun. I need to get me the new one. It looks like a good time. All right, the 8 seeds, Creighton, UConn, Illinois, Memphis. Now, Memphis is going to be interesting because their net rank is not very good at 50, but they got a really good record. They're 28-5. They went 6-1 against quad 1, 5-2 against quad 2. They got 2 strange losses in quad 3, but they had a really good year. They've kind of stumbled down the stretch, if you will. They haven't looked great in their wins these past few weeks, but they are playing for the championship today. But if they lose, they're going to let in UAB, and a lot of schools out there that are on the bubble are not going to like that. But I do have them right now tentatively a conference champ out of the AAC. All right, 9 seeds. We got Mississippi State, New Mexico, Baylor, Georgia. I think these 9 seeds are pretty much locked in. You might see 1 or 2 of these drop to a 10 or maybe bump up to an 8, but I doubt it. I think these are going to be the 9s that you see here in 2 hours. Now you start seeing teams with losing records against Quad 1. Good records, though, except for Baylor, barely above 500. If it were me, if I was on the committee, I would make a new rule. If you get to 14 losses, you're done. No more of these 14, 15 loss teams in the tournament. Come on. You got to get teams in there that win. And more on that later. All right, so 10 seeds. Utah State, Oklahoma, Arkansas, VCU, who just narrowly beat George Mason at the Horn about 30 minutes ago. That was a really big deal because George Mason would have been in as a champ. VCU was going to get in as a at-large, probably a 10 or 11 seed. Maybe even a 12, but I have him as a 10. So that was a big deal. It sucks because I was rooting for George Mason, even though I got a VCU shirt here. I wanted to get me a George Mason shirt. I mean, they've made the Final Four before. They got a good team this year. I think they should be in, but I don't think the committee's going to do it. I hope they do, though. So, yeah, VCU only 2 Quad 1 wins. This will actually change to, let's see, George Mason. No, I think George Mason would be a Quad 2 on neutral site, just barely. So this will be a 6-4 now. These numbers are as of yesterday. And so they're now 27-6. But 31 net's really good. Arkansas and Oklahoma will be on the bubble. Utah State's on the bubble, but I think they're safe. No bad losses. Not only 2 Quad 1 wins, but they beat the teams they needed to beat, and they got a great record and great net. So I think Utah State is safe. But Oklahoma, Arkansas will be sweating today. I got them in as 10s though. 11s, West Virginia. Not a great record, but they got 6 Quad 1 wins, no bad losses. They're going to be sweating as well. But I got them in as 11, just sneaked out of the first 4. Drake won the Missouri Valley. Great record, 28-3. They're actually 30-3, but they played 2 non-D1 teams. The net only uses games against D1 teams. Drake's going to be a handful, so watch out if you're a 6 seed. Same with UC San Diego. Watched them last night. Man, can they shoot the rock. I mean, those 2 teams, if I am in the 5-6 seed range, I don't want to see those 2. I do not. Those are going to be popular upsets, and for good reason. They're outstanding teams. So, yeah, Drake and UC San Diego. UC San Diego, 35 in the net. All right, so now we're at the bubble. I got San Diego State and Vanderbilt in the last 4-in play-in game. Vanderbilt just sneaked in. San Diego State is probably the highest on the last 4-in for me. Vanderbilt being second highest. And then Boise State third and Indiana fourth. Indiana is my last team in. So if UAB wins today, Indiana is no more, and UAB will probably go down to a 13 seed, and Yale will bump up to the final 12 seed. That'll be what happens there. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. But if UAB loses, Indiana's in as that final team, and UAB, they won't get in. So, yeah, there we go. Boise State, Indiana on the bubble. They're going to be sweating. Boise State didn't have a lot of Quad 1 wins, but Indiana, they got 4, but 13 losses against the Quad 1. That's a lot. That's not a great record. 9-13 against Quad 1 2 is not good. So that's why they might see themselves off the list tonight. But I think because Indiana is such a basketball state, I hate to say it, but the committee might, for views and money, they might sneak them in just because of it's Indiana. I really hope that that's not the case, that they actually take into consideration the resumes and basketball. But, you might think that might happen. Okay, so moving on. Liberty, Colorado State, McNeese State, they all won their conferences. They're all good teams. They'll be 12 seeds. And they're all pretty good 12 seeds, too. Colorado State's won, 8 in a row? They're pretty good. Liberty, 25-6. They actually have more wins than that. They played a couple of D2 schools. Even though Liberty hasn't played a quad 1 opponent yet, I've seen them play. They're really good at shooting threes. If they get hot, they're going to pull off an upset. 13 seeds, High Point, Yale, Grand Canyon, Akron. Grand Canyon was in last year and nearly went to the Sweet 16. They did go to the second round. Yale did the same thing. They beat Auburn, but then lost San Diego State. High Point, they got in this year, and they're really scary. That's a good team. They got 2 7-footers, lots of offense. Watch out. The 11 seeds through the 13, besides maybe Akron. Akron's a good team. I just don't know if they have quite the defense to pull off an upset. But from here all the way up to VCU, upset city. Any of those teams could do it. Any of them, so with the right matchup. It'll be interesting to see come bracket time their matchups. Okay, 14 seeds. North Carolina, Wilmington, Troy, Montana, and Lipscomb. I saw Lipscomb play in person this year. They can really shoot as well. And so that's probably the scariest 14 seed, just looking at this. UNCW, pretty scary as well. Montana and Troy are good. I just don't know if they're going to have to have a perfect game to pull off an upset, but we'll see what the bracket looks like. But I think Lipscomb and Wilmington will be the toughest 14 seeds. Wofford, Bryant, Robert Morris, and Omaha are the 15 seeds. Wofford won a very good SoCon this year. This was supposed to be Chattanooga or Furman or maybe even Sanford. But Wofford, the 6th seed, came out of it in that conference tournament and went on a run. So if they keep that momentum, that is the toughest 15 seed right there. I would say Bryant probably second. Bryant can score. They look pretty good. The American East has had some upsets in the past with Vermont and Stony Brook, so that conference is not an unknown by any means to upsets. But I think Wofford's probably the most dangerous 15 seed, especially if their big man's making the free throws. And now the 16 seeds. We got Southern Illinois, Edwardsville. I believe it's their first time in the tournament. Got Jackson State, Mount St. Mary's, American, Norfolk State, and St. Francis. I would say Norfolk State and Mount St. Mary's are the toughest 16 seeds this year. Mount St. Mary's out of the MAAC beat Iona last night. And Norfolk State, who has been in the tournament a number of times, and they have that famous 15-2 upset of Missouri, what was it, about 10 years ago. So they're kind of a household name as far as tournament brackets go. They only have that one big upset, but they're probably going to be them and Mount St. Mary's the toughest 2-16 seeds. So there is your bracket. I didn't really put a bracket together this year, mostly because of time. I had baseball this morning, and I got a baby. I got a lot going on. But this is still good enough. You got your teams in there. We'll find out what it really looks like here at 6 Eastern. Let's go to the bubble. Who almost made the tournament? So San Diego State is my first 11 seed on the bubble here. Then Vanderbilt. And then Boise State actually needs to be flipped with Indiana here. So Indiana was my last team in. So let's go ahead and do that while I'm doing this on the fly here. The below them is not really in any particular order, the teams that missed. They're just kind of on there. But yeah, so Indiana, my last team in. I'm going to go ahead and have Boise State in. I don't know if they're going to get in, but when I'm looking at numbers, they should be in. I mean, they got the best net of these 4 teams right here. They got a better net than anybody on this list besides North Carolina, Texas, and Ohio State. But they have the best record besides UC Irvine and George Mason. They're 3-6 against Quad 1, 5-2 against Quad 2, and they got 2 bad losses. So that comes out to 8-8 in Quad 1. Indiana is 9-13, like we said. That's not as good as 8-8. And Vanderbilt is 9-12. That's not as good as 8-8. So that's why I feel like Boise State should be included in that last 4-in group. They played their way to the championship of the Mountain West. They deserve it. I got them in. I would not be surprised if Indiana gets left out. I'm going to tell you what I want to happen, what I want the committee to do. I want Indiana off this list. I want George Mason in there in this 12. I know they only got 1 Quad 1 win, but they went 4-0 against Quad 2, and they got a great record. Their net's still decent. When I look at them, they are a tournament team. It's an eye test thing. Same thing with UC Irvine. 62 net, great record. They were 14-3 on the road. There are not many teams that did that. I know they only got 1 Quad 1 win, but they got 3 Quad 2s. So they're 4-3 against Quad 1 and 2. It's a winning record. Hello. Some of these teams don't have winning records in the Quad 1 and 2. I think if you gave UC Irvine more opportunities, they would have been fine. They got a 7-footer. They got the German giant down there in Leuchten. They got a lot of shooters, and they got a great coach who I have no idea how he hasn't gotten a job yet, a job outside of Irvine. Maybe he likes them. I don't know. But, yeah, they need to be in the tournament. I would put in George Mason and UC Irvine over Indiana and Vanderbilt. But it's not going to happen, unfortunately. I don't think the committee's going to do that, but that's what I would like to happen. We don't want to see these mediocre teams that go 19-15 or 19-13. If you can't even win in your conference, how are you going to win in the tournament? I mean, think about it. If you're getting 8th place in your conference, do you really think you're going to make it to the final 8 in the country? It's not going to happen. Nobody does that. So I think they need to make a new rule. If you're below 500 in your league, or maybe like below 48% winning percentage or something like that. So I can't believe they're even considering Texas right now. I'm sorry, Texas is a good team. But have you seen the record? And in league, it was a terrible record. I just don't get it. In Indiana, I don't even think they had a winning record in league. I think a new rule needs to be established. Got to be 500 or more in league, so we don't have 14 teams from one league getting in. The fans want to see the mid-majors that are good, that win games. Who cares who's on their schedule? They won the games. I want to see winners. I don't want to see losers. I want to see mediocrity. So, rant over with that. These are my 4 teams I put in. Here are the teams that narrowly didn't make it. Xavier, the first team out. They are right on the fringe, but they only got 1 Quad 1 win. They did good in Quad 2. They're 9-11 in both. In the Big East, a good league. They're 45 in net, but I got them as the first team out. Now, in no particular order, George Mason, Texas, UC Irvine, North Carolina, Ohio State, Dayton, SMU, Wake Forest, North Texas, and even I'll mention San Francisco. Those teams did not make it, but they're considered. We'll see what the committee does, but that's the way I have it right now. So, yeah, good luck, chat. Enjoy Selection Sunday here at 6 o'clock Eastern. I'll be back tomorrow night, most likely, with bracket tips, and we'll fill out a couple. I'll help you guys out. I'll give you some history. I'll give you some stats. And we'll even maybe make some against the spread plays as well. But yeah, I'm going to hop off here. Appreciate you chatting in here and watching. And yeah, let's enjoy the show at 6. Bye.